against God. So it's obedience one more time that kept him from sinning against God. Ooh, I got that question. Can you lay your Isaac down? Most people like Joseph, young guy, young person, he would say, oh my God, what a fine opportunity. But no, he didn't. He laid his Isaac down. The next test that we have to go through is a patience test. You know, some of us, when we get a calling, and right away we want to go out there and preach the gospel. It doesn't work like that. You know, I remember when I started having dreams and visions, you know, I would dream that I was carrying babies and stuff like that, and Darlene told me, oh, you have a ministry, girl, because I was rebuking it. I didn't know, because they had told me. They had told me babies were burdens. You know, so I'm like, why am I dreaming? I don't want any burdens. You know, so I was rebuking it, but Darlene told me no. And then I started dreaming about catching fish. Wow. And then I'll never forget, one night I woke up screaming, because one of the fish escaped. And I started screaming, no, 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 Lord, no, not one, not one, not one, you know. And I'm like, what is this? Well, a couple of weeks later, I went to a meeting, and there was a lady there, and she told me, she called me up. I was, you know, all the way in the back. She said, no, I need to speak to you. And she called me up, and she said, and she started telling me, before you leave this earth, you're going to bring thousands and thousands of souls to the Lord. I said, me? She said, yes. She says, I can see the doubt in your faith. I can hear it. And then she whispered something in my ear that only God knew. And I'm like, okay, lady, you got me. Whatever it takes. God obviously revealed my secret to her. You know, how many times you know God reveals other people's secrets to other people? Yeah. Has that ever happened to you? You said you're minding your business, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, you're kidding me, Lord. Yes, he reveals other people's secrets to you. So don't think anything is a secret. Because if the Holy Spirit feels like revealing it, guess what? He will. He will. He will. So Joseph had to learn the patient test also. Is that right? Abram went through the patient test. Abram waited 25 years before Isaac was born. You know that? Yeah. 25 years. So at 75, he was told what he was going to do. And he was 100 years old. You can find that in Genesis 12, 1 and 2. I'm not going to read all of this. Joseph also had to learn the patient test. When he had his dreams, he figured, hey, look at me. They're going to be bowing to me. It didn't happen like that. He had to learn to be obedient. And he had to learn to be patient. Because, you know, at 17, right after he had his dream, it looked like that dream wasn't true. Because he was sold into slavery. He was sold into slavery. So Joseph had to trust God. And he had to put his Isaac down. You know, it wasn't about me. It wasn't about me. So it was 30 years. Joseph went to prison. First he worked for Potiphar, then he went to prison. And he stayed there for a while. And it was 30 years before he was released and did his calling, did what he was supposed to do. And he was 39 years old when he reunited with his brethren, when they bowed down to him. So he got a dream at 17 years old. It was 39 years old before that dream came to pass. Moses also had the patient test. Because, you know, when Moses was born, Clara's daughter adopted him, but his biological mother raised him. And of course, she probably instilled the Jewish faith in him. So he knew he was special. He knew he was called. So 40 years later, when Moses killed an Egyptian and he had to run away, because at 40 he thought he was ready to rule the kingdom. But guess what? He wasn't. God waited till he was 80 years old. So he had a 40-year test, patient test. So we learned that we have to be obedient. There's an obedient test. There's a patient test. Doesn't happen right away. And then we have to have faith. We have to have faith. You know, we saw Joseph had faith, Moses had faith, Abram had faith. But remember the 12 spies? 2 of them had faith, and 10 of them did not. And what happened when they didn't have faith?
Couldn't get in the promised land.
They couldn't get into the promised land. And all of them, those 10 spies, they never got into the promised land. Out of the 12 that went, only 2 went, and that was Joshua and Caleb, and every child under 20 years old. Those are the only people that got into the promised land. So, I'm going to ask you today again. Abram passed his test. He put his Isaac down. Joseph, he was able to lay his Isaac down. Moses laid his Isaac down. What about you? Can you put your Isaac down? Because this is not about them anymore. Jesus was also tested. Let's go to Matthew 4, 1 through 11. Did I say 1 through 11? Okay, we'll read it. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the desert to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell them stones to become bread." Now, you know that was easy for Jesus to do, but he didn't. Jesus answered, "It is written, man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. "If you are the Son of God," he said, "throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Jesus answered him, "It is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdom of the world and their splendor. "And this I will give you," he said, "if you will bow down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Then the devil left him, and angels came and attended him. So, in Hebrews 2 and 18, let's look at that. Because he himself suffered when he was tempted, he's able to help those who are being tempted. So Jesus is able to help us when we're being tempted, because he knows what it's like. So, if Jesus was tested, why shouldn't we be tested? God is faithful. You know, our pastor is walking a test right now. Great test. You know, we all have an individual journey. But I'm going to tell you something. Pastor studied with me for a friend of mine, granddaughter, and she had tetralogy of Fallot. And that's a hole between the 2 chambers of the heart. And she lived in the valley, and they had to life flighted her down here. Well, I'm telling you, today, she's been extubated, she's breathing on her own, and she's off of any medication. They're just, so what I'm saying, there is nothing impossible with God. You know, I'm going to tell you the truth about me with this one. I'm not a person that questions God. If he doesn't, you know, hey, you know. But I question God about this a little bit because the parents are pastors in the valley. And God told me that this girl was going to be pregnant. She wasn't looking for a child. And so I told her mom, I said, hey, I see her. Her name is Amory. I see Amory and she's pregnant. And she says, really? And within 2 months, she was pregnant. So I'm saying, like, God, why did you tell me this girl was going to be pregnant to bring in a sick child? I was really a little frustrated. I'm never really frustrated, but I'm telling you that everything is off of that child. A child that was life-flighted. I mean, us in the nursing field know they're not going to waste money on life-flighting a child because that's a lot of money to get a helicopter and bring that child all the way to Houston. So you know that child was sick when the child was born. But now look, now no longer. Amen. 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 I'm going to tell you, there's hardship in following God. There is hardship in following God. I'm not going to read the scripture, but Exodus 5, 1 through 23, if anybody feels like looking it up later. There's hardship in following God. Sometimes people are urged to accept Christ because he will solve your problems. But Christ himself, in Mark 8:34, (1 through 23). I'm not going to read that, but I'm going to read Mark 8:34. Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples and said, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. So that's how that's what you have to do. Luke 14:28. Let's look at that. Suppose one of you want to build a tower. Will he not first sit down and estimate the cost, see if he has enough money to complete it? So there's a cost for following Jesus. Is there a cost? There's a cost for following. There's a cost for following Jesus. But you know, God helps us. God helps us all. You know, and God will warn us. God will warn us. I know I was coming down the freeway, this has been years ago, and I used to work in Galveston, and the Lord told me, you're going to have an accident further down the road. And I went like, me, Lord, you know? Like, I was driving a big car, and I was thinking, But obedience is better than sacrifice. I put on my seatbelt. And by the time I hit Dickinson, my car, I drove. But I see what God did. I hit against the walls, you know, I hit against the walls and the car was smashed and everything like that. But there was no other cars coming my way. So I didn't hit anybody, didn't hurt anybody, I didn't hurt myself. In the accident, there was a slow motion where I see myself going forward, and if I didn't have my seatbelt on, I probably would hit the windshield. And then I feel myself going backwards, that if I didn't have the seatbelt, I probably would have gone through the door. God, God. So, you know, you're not going to lose your life like that. You know what I'm saying? Anyhow, we should not be surprised when hardship comes our way, because those who rule in the realm of darkness will certainly not let you leave their power without a fight. They're going to fight for you. The devil is going to try to fight for you. He wants you back. He's going to give you things that you think, oh my God, good. Look what, and this time it's the devil that's trying to keep you in his kingdom. And so he's going to fight for you. We have to stand firm in our faith because God will have the final victory. And let's look at John 16:33.